What's up, Unity? I'm here with some E3 predictions for you. I'm going to be going over my predictions for each press conference, minus the PC and the Devolver Digital All Night event, because I don't have time for that. Nobody has time for that. So let's start with Sony. I picture we will get more info on the game Days Gone. I do not picture there being a definitive release date right now. Due to the sheer scope of this game, we saw the same footage on repeat all throughout their press conference and every breakdown video of that, and nothing since then, actually. So I don't picture it's coming out until probably around Q2 of 2018 at the very earliest, and even that would be pushing it. But I would like to see more. I love zombie games. I happen to be a big fan of the Left 4 Dead franchise, the Resident Evil franchise, so I would love to see something new. Because let's face it, Microsoft's answer, Dead Rising, has gotten a little bit stale lately. And I hate to say that because I used to be a big fan, but after playing through 4, all the DLC, all the microtransactions, it just became hell. So I would love to see an answer from Sony's side succeed where that franchise has fallen flat lately. Number 2, I would like to see a release date for Detroit to become human. As you know, I'm a Michigander, so I'd like to see a futuristic version of Detroit because, let's face it, the current one is a shithole. And the fact that they've went this far with it, I honestly thought I'd never see it past its development phase. I figured it'd be stuck in hell just because of how realistic it looks. Beyond the last game from the studio actually was one of my favorite games of that year, uh, but it seemed a little bit generic. They tried way too hard with too many things, so I'm hoping they learn from that. Another one of my favorite games from the studio happened to be Heavy Rain and Indigo Prophecy, aka Fahrenheit now. Um, I never understood the name change, but it is one of my favorite games as well. So I would like to see something, hopefully a release date, even if it's next year. I'd like to see something. We had a Shenmue live event on Facebook today. We already know it's been delayed into at least 2018. I'm picturing that delay is because they are going to be remastering 1 and 2 because they are so damn expensive titles to find in a retro shop. And anytime Sony acquires a franchise, they like to milk it. And they milk it till it's dry. And that's coming from a Sony fanboy. So I picture that being a thing. I honestly would want to see a physical release, but I picture it being a digital only title just because that would alleviate the fact of freaking scalping and all that online. Because fanboys would go crazy, buy multiple copies, and fucking shillbit them, scalp them, and it would become hell all over again. Insomniac did mention in their newsletter that they are bringing the SpiderMan game to E3. I would like to see a release date, a permanent title. I don't picture it just being SpiderMan. I picture it actually coming out around the time Homecoming comes out, but that could be wrong. I'm open for criticism on that. They've mentioned that this is their biggest scope that they've ever made, so I would like to see it outside of this Peter Parker go outside of New York, kind of like an Avengers-esque game. Uh, that might not be likely, but since they've said it's their biggest scope, and let's face it, Sony acts home for Ratchet and Clank, where there's multiple fucking planets, Sunset Overdrive, it was pretty massive. But since they're claiming this is their biggest world yet, I would like to see it, even if it's a level or two outside of the New York area. That'd be pretty awesome. He's got the release date on the billboard / wall painting for God of War 4, or God of War, as they're calling it. My predictions for this, since when I initially wrote my little track list that I'm using right now, because I don't want this to be a 3.5 hour video like our podcast, and I can rant and rave on games for days. I had initially written this track list about a week ago, before that was fully up. Just seeing the beginning of the painting. I actually hoped for a release date at that time, but right now, since they're going that far and giving a release date, and we've had a leak-ish thing from a foreign retailer saying that there's a collector's edition, I picture them unveiling that. Possibly, if they're going to go with the multiplayer aspect again, I picture them announcing a multiplayer beta like they did for Ascension at E3 as well. And besides that, I honestly, and I hate remasters, but I picture a digital release of the original games for new players to the franchise. And I'm hoping that it's not a full retail price like God of War 3 Remaster was when it was released, but Sony will be Sony, so look forward to that. Outside of that, I want to see more of the world. We've seen roughly 20-ish minutes, and that's just a rough estimate, of footage. We've seen some concept art on Twitter. We've seen a little bit of what they've done with this Norse world that we have Kratos and his son in. I can't pronounce the name. What I want to see is if they're going to do a new trailer, which they more than likely will, or new gameplay, I want to see a boss fight. I want to see fucking Kratos and Thor fighting. It's the most bloodiest fucking shit battle ever. With Loki in the background cackling. That would be awesome. Game most people probably forgotten about is Media Molecule's Dreams. I'm a big fan of the generation of games that they've released, Tearaway and Little Big Planet, all those great games for people that are more inclined to be very fucking creative. My creations, on the other hand, have very few downloads, so I'm mostly playing other people's stuff. So I don't ever buy a Media Molecule game day one. That being said, I love the art style. I love the direction of these twisted dreams. And I kind of want to see more of this because it's really creative how they've done this. It's almost like claymation-esque fucking art style. It's really trippy. And I really want to see more, but I don't want to see it released this year because I want them to polish this. Because if this is successful, I can see this being their second big franchise like Little Big Planet, because there's so much room for beauty in this game. And beauty can come in many forms. And some of the levels I've seen for Little Big Planet and Tearaway, they get pretty fucking twisted. And I love that. I love how they give players so much freedom to create their own visions without actually having any knowledge of how to create a game. It really, really helps people. And it's also inspired a lot of people to go out and pursue game development careers and all that. So I really want this to be a successful game, but I don't want it to be an unpolished turd when it releases. So I would like to see more info. I really don't want to see a release date unless they are certain it will be mint on launch. And now for the one I'm going to get a lot of hate for. for the Sony conference. I'm a big fan of Skylanders. I collect them. I fucking love the idea of these Toys to Life games. I was really sad when Disney Infinity fell flat and they shut down the servers, because that was a really, really great kids' first game. My first game when I was a child was fucking Mario. I was playing that with my dad in the old Nintendo Power Chairs that folded like the X-Rockers that we have now. That was one of my first memories, and that's actually one of my first memories because my mom had a habit of taking pictures of everything. Some of them very, very embarrassing, but mothers do that. I fucking loved the Mario franchise. And then when I grew up, one of my favorite franchises was the Spyro franchise. So when they brought the Skylanders out for kids, I'm like, this is a great way for kids to learn how to play games. This is really cool. They don't have to actually have them on there. They can also take these figurines. They can take these little fucking figurines that they put so much detail into. They can take that and they can play that. Put that on their friend's portal. That's so fucking cool. It blew my mind how they did this. But I was also really sad because these figurines started to go for $200-300 if you missed them week one. So I was also really depressed because some of these kids are never going to get to these figures. So I would love to see not only another Skylanders game for those who love that. The Imaginators was a fantastic idea where kids could create their own figurines. They could dream up the most bizarre shit, and they would actually make the fucking figurine for some of them. That was so cool. They showed off the art for some of these on Twitter. It was beautiful. Not beautiful in our sense as adults, but having a kid's vision put into a figure, and then that kid could be so proud of that. That was really fucking cool. But I want to see kids be introduced to what Spyro was originally. I'm talking the original fucking Spyros remastered, like they're doing with the Crash Bandicoot franchise. Because they had the promotion, the cross promotion with the Imaginators Skylanders game, where you could have Crash invade the Skylands worlds. It was really freaking cool. And then now this June or July, we're having our Crash Bandicoot Insane Trilogy come out, and they said they would have a Crash Bandicoot announcement at E3 as well. I'm hoping that's Crash Team Racing, because I remember skipping school and playing Crash Team Racing with my friends instead of actually learning. You're only a teenager once. But I would love to see the kids be able to play the original Spyro games. But I don't want to see it at a full retail price. Even if they're just, hey, here's Spyro 1 for $20. We'll release on PSN. Oh, you want Spyro 2? Here, another $20. I would be willing to pay that. I know a lot of young adults, millennials that have kids now, be like, oh, I remember this, and they can introduce their kids to this franchise and what it was before. It was one of the greatest freaking franchises of my childhood, so I'd love to relive that myself. And I know a lot of my friends are saying, you know, I'm really happy that they got these fucking figurines, but I'd love to show my kids what this came from before Activision turned into a steaming pile of shit. And since they were so willing to, you know what, for the anniversary, let's do a remaster of Crash, I'd like to see them do the same with Spyro. That would be really great. Another franchise that's near and dear to my heart is the Kingdom Hearts franchise. I am one of those poor bastards that has rebrought and rebrought and rebrought and rebrought every fucking re-release. Here we have 30 minutes of extra freaking levels, and we're going to release it for $60. Okay, Square Enix, you can get done violating us. You're done. Give us something. Give us even a release date, even a fucking trailer. We're begging you. I want something to prove that this game is actually coming out in my fucking lifetime. I want something. Give me... I don't care if it's here. Here's a Star Wars level. Or here. Remember that we have a big Hero 6 level? Here. Here's Sora beating the shit out of some heartless boss in the big Hero 6 level. Or even if it's... Just don't give us a fucking Frozen level. Just please, for the love of all that is holy, do not make that another Atlantica, please. I don't want to hear Sora sing Let It Go. If anything, just don't do that. You will have the fanboys raging and fucking pitchforks and torches and burning copies of Kingdom Hearts 3. No, I'd probably sit through it because I've sat through Atlantica multiple times every time you've re-released the fucking game, even though that's my least favorite level. So, yeah, I'd probably play through a fucking Frozen level, but still, give us something. Anything. Release date, trailer, fucking gameplay, something. Please. I'm begging you. All of Planet Unity is begging you. The entire Kingdom Hearts fandom is begging you. Give us something. Now, another one since that I picture coming from the Sony press conference will be, since we've had rumors, we've had leaks, we've had multiple freaking stores put up placeholder dates for a Modern Warfare Remaster Standalone Edition. I picture that we'll have an announcement at E3, more than likely at Sony's press conference, because they have digital rights, month to 2 months basically for every DLC. So I picture that being a thing that we see. And sadly, judging by the price tags from these confirmed, I'm using my quotations, leaks, and I hate that we've come to this where we are having leaks for fucking news, and then, yes, but unfortunately we have this, that is true, we are having this release, blah, 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 blah. Protect your fucking data, idiots. But anyway, I digress. I picture it being a full price retail game. I'm a huge old school shooter fan. Modern Warfare was one of my favorite games from that generation's Call of Duties. I'm not, however, a fan of jump packs. So I did not pick up Infinite Warfare. The last actual Call of Duty I picked up was Black Ops 3, and that was solely for the zombies. And since we have, if this rumor's true, a standalone Modern Warfare release, you're damn right I'm getting it. I also picture, since we have that being all but confirmed at this point, I picture a Modern Warfare 2 remaster coming bundled with the Call of Duty World War II edition of probably the Pro Edition only, since the Legacy Edition of Infinite Warfare came with the bundled Modern Warfare. Now, if that's true, I'm really super glad I pre-ordered the World War II Pro Edition, because it means I get it. Yeah. If it's not true and it's a standalone game, I picture pretty much every old school Call of Duty fans going to the fucking stores the minute it's announced. I want my fucking Modern Warfare 2 pre-order now GameStop, now Best Buy, now Amazon. I picture that being a madhouse because it's one of the last good ones. And since VR is sadly not going anywhere, actually I'm really glad it's not, because it has some really great applications. I picture there being a massive push from the Sony press conference for the VR like there was last year. And one title I would like to see, as an SAO fanboy, as my buddy Thurman would actually probably mock in the comments if I didn't already say this, what about mentioning this? I would like to see an SAO VR game. I'm just going to come out and say it. That would be really cool. I would like to see a full-on MMO for the VR, be it Oculus, be it Vive, or be it PSVR. I would like to see that at some point. when the technology is there and it can be done right. It would be really freaking cool. Another one I would like to see would be an actual Yu-Gi-Oh! Since we have this V-Reigns franchise out now, or I don't know if you would call it franchise because fucking Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole is the franchise, but the new anime coming out, V-Reigns, I would like to see a Yu-Gi-Oh! VR game. Or hell, if it could be done right, I would like to see a full-on VR shooter a la Killzone. That'll wrap up my little Sony predictions. Onto the Microsoft. Now, this one gets a little hairy and all over the place. But what threw me for a loop was the re-trademarked title Scalebound, after they've already confirmed that they canceled it. So I don't know if they're just trying to keep Platinum from regaining rights to it, or if they're actually going to surprise us with a retooled version of Scalebound this year at E3. I was really looking forward to Scalebound. I fucking love dragons. The whole idea of this fucking game was beautiful. And the fact that it was nearly complete when they canceled it is what really fucking pissed me off. I was blocked from Facebook for roughly 30 days after my rant for that, so that was fun. Try logging in when you have almost everything locked to that. Not very easy. Not very easy. Since then, I've unpaired my Facebook from everything, so yeah. As an old school gamer, more and more retro games have been appealing to me since there's a huge push for them here in GR. I've been super hyped for the game Cuphead. Cuphead being the platformer that is being all hand-drawn and hand-animated a la old school Disney style. If ever there was a time for the developers to be fucking respected and let them have their time, it is with this game. The fact that Microsoft has given them so much freedom from the ID at Xbox program is just simply beautiful. As somebody that's tried to create games in the past by themselves and with friends, and Planet Unity is in the process of attempting to create their own game, I have the utmost respect for every single animator, every single developer, every single person attached to this project. So this game is really high on my I want to play list because it reminds me of old school Mega Man meets Bullet Hell. I don't know why it reminds me of that, other than the fact that it's platformer and the way that it's drawn kind of reminds me of a old school Bullet Hell game. The whole difficulty peak of old school games has always been a real challenge. The closest I've come to that amount of frustration in any game in modern times has been the Dark Souls-esque games, the Soulsborne, the Neo, that kind of shit has been my most challenging games recently. So I would love to be able to play through this game sometime soon, but I don't want to rush this because it's so beautiful. But I want more info. I want to see more panels, more, even if it's just fucking animation panels. It doesn't even have to be trailer, doesn't have to be gameplay footage. I just want to see more of this beautiful project that they're creating. Okay, so another game that's frustrated the hell out of me has been the wait for Crackdown 3. I love Crackdown. I love Crackdown 2. I've been hyped for Crackdown 3 since Prey 2 was a thing. And we all know that Prey 2 is no longer a thing. We have a remake that just came out that some son of a bitch has beaten in 6 minutes. Way to ruin the game, asshole. So, yeah. I've been hyped for this game since it was first announced. The fact that they're doing this all cloud-based from a perspective of an IT professional as myself is beautiful. I don't know how they're making it work. even to this day, which is why it's taking so long, I'm assuming, is trying to get this destructive environment, all cloud-based and everything. I don't understand how they're doing it, but I want something, even if it's just like, hey, we still exist. Don't forget about us. We're still working on it. We don't know when the fuck we're going to have the project out, but it's still in progress. Just something. I would love to see a trailer or a little bit of gameplay. Even a building blowing up would be great at this point. Just something to let us know that the project is still in development. It's besides the 5 seconds that was mentioned in this week on Xbox video thing that they do every week. It's like 5 seconds that they mentioned. Yes, Crackdown 3 is still a thing. I'd like to see at least something on that. And just mentioning it at the press conference would ease a lot of minds, because I know not a lot of people actually bothered to watch those this week on Xbox videos. Another game, as a huge Rare fan, less so their Connect-based stuff, don't roast me in the comments for that. Old school Rare, Cameo, the fucking Donkey Kong 64, we got fucking Conquer. I'd like to see more Sea of Thieves, though. Since they've taken the initiative to create this world, it seems pretty cool. I don't know a whole hell of a lot about it. I haven't been invited to the beta yet, so I don't know. But what I would like to see is more of this world that they've created. The idea of this fucking game is really bizarre, but really fucking cool. And it's kind of a nod to old school Rare because it's so quirky. But we don't know enough about it to really judge it, in my opinion. So until I know a little bit more, I'm a little bit skeptical. But I'm really hyped to see what it is at the same time. I just got done roasting this franchise for a few seconds, but I know it's an inevitability because it seems like almost every E3 now we get another Dead Rising. I'd much rather have a Left 4 Dead 3, but what can you do, right? I would like to see them first apologize for the insane amount of downloadable content for Dead Rising 4, but I know that ain't gonna happen. But I would like to see a nod to the old school, but a new protagonist. Frank West needs to stay out. No Chuck, no whatever the fuck the name of the third protagonist was. I don't even remember. It was so boring. I'd like to see a new protagonist. I'd like to see a new city. I'd like to see new weapons. I'd like to see something different, something unique to revitalize this franchise. If they're going to continue to milk it like a freaking cow, I would like to see something new. We Happy Few. It's a basically early release game. Nazism, tones, fucking this pill that makes everything seem so happy, 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 happy. I'd like to see a launch date, a full launch. And I'd like to see some, as somebody that's played through a little bit of it, I'd like to see something done about bugs. I'd like to see something done about the fucking fact that you can get glitched to the point where the game becomes unplayable. You have to delete it, reinstall it. It's a little bit of a hassle, but it's to be expected in a beta, basically. The idea of this game is so beautiful. It gets a lot of hate because of the whole issues with bugs and everything, and the fact that it's so short. People seem to not realize that just because it's an early release doesn't mean it's fully released. So I'd like to see more of it, and I'd like to see a fucking full release date. That being said, we know that Microsoft loves to keep them into the very last possible second in these early release programs. So I'm completely fine with staying early release until it's fully done and Microsoft's happy with putting a seal of approval on it. But I would like to see some acknowledgement from the developers themselves. Yes, we know we have bugs. Yes, we are working on them. And we are working on them as we speak. And we will fix them. We will patch this game. I don't even remember when the last patch was. That being said, my Xbox hard drive is fucking 5 terabytes, so who knows? There might have been a patch that I didn't even bother to look through. But I'd like to see this get released and get the respect it deserves, because it's a very, very unique title. And since Microsoft's got the Arena at Xbox Live now, and public release, you can get notifications on your phone even, I picture Killer Instinct Season 4 being a thing, with more gratuitous cameos from franchises that have no business being in the Killer Instinct universe. We've had General Ram, we've had the Arbiter, we've had Rash from Battletoads for some fucking reason, although it's beautiful. It's just fucked up. I picture another one. I would like to see, who would be bizarre enough and yet gratuitous enough for my... Alright, I picture Frank West being in there now. He's already been in fucking Marvel vs. Capcom, so why the hell not in Killer Instinct, right? It'd be classic fucking Microsoft for putting it in there. It would actually fit too, since all the characters are so bizarre in the Killer Instinct universe. We know that 343 Industries is going to have an announcement. We've had a leak of what looks like a poster or panel for a GameStop kiosk of Halo Gravemind. Horror-esque game from the rumors. I don't know if I'm okay with that as a Halo fan, but at the same time, it'd be really fucking cool to have something different. We've already got Halo Wars, where we got an RTS game. We got the regular Halo franchise, where we got these fucking shooters. Why not a horror game in the middle of that shit? It'd be bizarre, but it'd be really cool to have something different. I'd like to see, if that's true, a trailer or some gameplay sizzle reel. I picture their announcement being more of either a new franchise or possibly a season pass for Halo Wars 2. Although, judging by the sales for Halo Wars 2, it didn't do very well, but neither did the original, and it got a re-release even. So the place to play an RTS, in my honest opinion, is on a PC, not on a console. So I love Halo. I love the world, the lore. Hell, I have every single novel on my bookshelf over there. But if they are going to announce something, I would love to see, and they've already shot down the rumor, I would love to see Halo 6 announced. And I would love to see it return to its old school multiplayer and not this bullshit esports. Esports and Halo, I'm not a fan of. I don't like the fast-paced bullshit. I definitely did not like the way they did the multiplayer in Halo 5. At all. The cards for the loadout, all that shit. It was like a big middle finger to the fans. The last great Halo to me was Halo 4's multiplayer. I was a huge fan of that. Although I did like that they released all the content for Halo 5 free, I just was not a fan of how fast-paced the multiplayer was. I know it was meant to be a launch of the esports leagues for it, but it doesn't belong to a true fan. That's just how I see it. And then we got the yearlies. We got the Forzas. I think we're at 7 now. I'm a huge Forza fan, but it's car porn. Let's be honest, it's fucking car porn. I'm honestly on the fence of even buying another one at this point, just because my shelf is Halo, 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 Gears, 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 Forza, 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 and then all the other titles that mixed in there. It's become a little bit monotonous with yearlies. Uh, it's just at this point, why, just why? Microsoft's gotten into this system where, and here's money, do things. Do things for us so we make more money to pay you to shit out more of these fucking games. They need to take risks. They really do. I don't care what those risks are, but they need to take some risks. They've got into this pace where they've become like Nintendo, where they're just happy with releasing the same franchise over and over and over and over and over again. It doesn't matter if it's even good. I mean, look at Gears 4. A 4-hour fucking story. And multiplayer thrown in there. They put more time into the multiplayer than they did the story. I remember a time when you actually gave a fuck about the story and didn't just go, I want to kill random person number 6,500 on fucking the server here, and I'm getting teabagged with a chainsaw. Yeah, that's the thing. It's really, at this point, I love Microsoft, but I want to see something new. I can't gaze into the crystal ball and predict what that will be. There have been a lot of good games that they've came out with recently. They've taken a few risks, but none of them have actually stuck. So I'd like to see them have a franchise that revitalizes their platform. Something to meet between the Marcus Phoenix and the fucking Master Chief and the car. Because that's their third mascot, right? It's the car. They need something in there between those that's actually stable and consistently a decent title. They tried Recore. It was a good game. Very, very short, but it was Risk. Rise was a decent brawler slash hack and slash game, but again, it was so short and so forgettable because it was a launch title for the Xbox One. Sunset Overdrive was a great title, very unique, but it was Insomniac that did it, and it fell kind of flat because they didn't. There was just something missing from Insomniac's standpoint. I don't know if Microsoft just was like, you can't do that. You can't do that. You can't do that. It was a great game, but it just kind of fell flat because it wasn't memorable because it was a launch title. Launch titles aren't always memorable. The last really memorable launch title for any platform, coming from me, was Halo Combat Evolved. It was fresh. It was cool. It was, holy shit, I'm killing aliens on a crashing spaceship, and now I'm on a planet where these aliens are invading, and then all this shit, and it's set up a great world, and then it continued, and Halo 2 was great, Halo 3 was great, Halo 4 was great, Halo 5 not so much, but it tried to become Call of Duty, and that's where they went wrong. And then there's just nothing there to pad it. It's just kind of weird. I picture there being another Gears of War come out this year too. I don't know if they're going to announce it at E3 or they're going to wait till TGS, but I picture they're at least announcing, yes, we're working on Gears 5. If that's a wise thing, I don't know. I really don't. I love Gears, but Gears 4 lacked a soul. It went from shooting robots to shooting alien monster things that are basically the locusts, but reborn locusts that They just renamed because they just gave up midway through. Just like, we're gonna go to robot shooter, and no, that's not working. So fuck it. We'll just leave it in there. No one will notice. The fuck were you thinking? The fuck were you thinking? For EA, I give them a lot of shit. They deserve a lot of shit. Because it's sports. We're going to see shit tons of sports games that nobody will give a fuck about because they've been the same exact fucking sports game for the last 15 years. Let's be honest, when was the last time Madden was really, really innovative? Let's throw the football and look a little more realistic every year. Let's kick the soccer ball and look a little more realistic every year. Let's dribble the basketball and look a little more realistic every year. Let's play rugby. Let's punch people in EA's UFC. Wait, that didn't last long, did it? Is that still a thing? I think we had a fucking handball game one year. Oh, for fuck's sake. As much hell as I give them, they do have some good franchises. I defended in the podcast Mass Effect Andromeda because I'm a huge Mass Effect fan. And then recently it was revealed that the game changed its course so many times over the last 5 years that the game we got was made in a year and a half. That explains a hell of a lot, actually. So, yeah. I'll start when the game director left, and then now we got the steaming pile of fecal matter that sits on my shelf and reminds me that I once tried to defend this game. I still played it, still beat it. I still love the Mass Effect franchise. They're going to fucking fix that thing that sits on my shelf. They've got a long fucking road ahead of them. Okay, as for the other titles, they own the licenses to Star Wars, so I'm a huge Visceral fan. I was a huge Dead Space fan. I would like to see a new Dead Space come out, but I don't think we're going to get that. But I would like to see what they're doing with their Star Wars game. Since they already said we're not going to really reveal a whole lot more about Battlefront, EA did, so I'd like to know more about Visceral's game, because we know they can create lore, that we know they can create a seemingly dark environment, and I'd like to see where they're going with this. I would really, really like to see something from them. I would be really surprised if it's not uber dark. I would almost picture it being more of a Sith game than a Jedi game. And that I would be completely fine with that. I love The Force Unleashed, and that was probably one of my favorite Star Wars games of recent memory. Playing as a Sith apprentice turned Jedi, that was a nice twist. So I'd like to see something along those lines for the Visceral title that they're making. And we also know that Respawn is making a Star Wars game. Respawn being famous for their one title, Titanfall. I love Titanfall, so I picture this. I picture a world where we are in an Imperial Walker smashing fucking rebel scum. I honestly, that's what I picture, because that's all we know them for, is giant robots beating the fuck out of everything. And I'd be completely fine with that. But I'd like to see them do something a little different. Because we know they can create a seemingly superpowered soldier, aka the pilot in the Titanfall franchise. So that would be really cool if we could see like this really, I would guess, Stormtrooper, since I'm assuming all this, or maybe First Order Trooper, because we don't know where any of these fit in the new timeline of Star Wars. So I'd like to see more from those two. I picture it for the Respawn game, this super-powered First Order, maybe Stormtrooper, maybe Clone Trooper, we don't know where they fit, like I said, beating the hell out of random people, killing them. It's kind of hard to describe, because we don't know anything other than they're working on it. What I'd like to see is, and God help me, because I know that a lot of people are going to hate this, I'd like to see a new, almost Kylo Ren-esque version. I'd like to see a game where Kylo Ren is actually going around, his rise to power. I'd like to see that in the tone of the old school Knights of the Old Republic games, almost. And I know Kylo Ren is really, really hated for being a whiny, bitchy, emo child, but I'd like to see his story told through a game, and I'd like to see it in the vein of the Knights of the Old Republic game, because I love RPGs. I think his story would fit better in that kind of a game than a generic 6-hour campaign that we get every fucking modern release, almost. So I'd like to see that. And other titles I'd like to see from EA would be, obviously, Titanfall 3, because, let's face it, Respawn is former Call of Duty devs, and Call of Duty devs are used to shitting out a game a year. I also picture them announcing some form of DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda, because, let's face it, they're going to try to kiss everybody's ass. Remember, we're trying. We're trying. Please don't kill us all. We're not awful people. Please, we'll try to help you. My other favorite BioWare franchise, since it's always published by EA, is Dragon Age. I was really, really pissed when they removed the blood magic from Inquisition. We know that they're not done with this franchise. It's impossible, because it's an expansive world. So I picture them announcing a new Dragon Age game, either for next year or the following year, because I figure they'll be shitting out DLC for Mass Effect Andromeda for the next year. So I'd love to see a new Dragon Age game where blood magic returns, because I love being an asshole. You can tell I'm always fucking the bad guy in any game I have a chance to be the bad guy. We know they're going to have more Battlefield 1 DLC, so I picture that being a big focus. And the last title, we've already seen a trailer for it. I'm picturing a release date and more info for the new Need for Speed game. And the place they've went wrong with this in the past is always online. Not everybody lives in an area where they have great internet, but everybody loves a good racing game. I've spent, up until this year, in an area where my internet was my fucking hotspot on my phone for 3 years, roughly. So I can sympathize with those who complained about the always online features. That was the biggest mistake when the Xbox One was announced, and why a lot of people were threatening to boycott the Xbox One, and then they said once a month, and then, okay, you don't need to even bother signing in, you can just play fucking games. So always online is never going to be, until every area has great internet, a good idea. So now that they've learned from that, hopefully, I picture this being a revitalization of the franchise. So I'm really super stoked to see how this is going to be. what this game's going to do. I would love to see a new Need for Speed Underground game, but I don't think that will come in my lifetime. So yeah. On to Ubisoft. And right off the bat, we've had retail cards for the new Assassin's Creed game come out. Yes, I'm a huge Assassin's Creed fan, and I'm also a huge fan of Egypt. And the fact that it's rumored to be in Egypt, we've had T-shirts leak, we've had the pre-order cards leak with pre-order now, and you get the pyramid mission. So I'm fucking hyped for this. So I want to know, when's it coming out? How many different versions are there going to be? Because you know Ubisoft's going to pull that shit. Is there a statue? Because I love Assassin's Creed statues. I have every single one. I even spent $300 to get the old school Altair figurine off of eBay. So yeah. It's one of my favorite franchises. I'm not ashamed of that. I, however, will bash Ubisoft openly for multiple things. One, don't put a fucking app that doesn't fucking work as a function of the game. Number two, don't fucking have 19 different types of currency for the fucking multiplayer if you're doing multiplayer. Number three, don't have a shit server. I know that's hard for you, Ubisoft. For Honor. You're gonna need. And have this game ready and playable at launch, please, because I will be streaming the entire fucking game day one on this channel or on Twitch, and then uploading the videos or links to my Twitch channel and all this so you can watch me play it. Hell, I might even put it on Mixer by Microsoft. I want to know more. If this is really in Egypt, I want to see Egypt done justice, because it's such a beautiful, beautiful place to put this franchise. Second only to Japan. This has been everybody's dream for the franchise. Those two have been the most requested in every poll that they've ever done. Where should we put this game next? Where should we put this game next? It has always been the top two. So the fact that they're actually listening to the fans is beautiful, because Ubisoft's not known for that. So I want to see a trailer. I want to see a release date. I want to know everything about this game. It's done right. This will be the spark this franchise needs to stay relevant. And if it fails, it might be what kills this franchise. So they need to do this right. Another franchise that has seemed roughly new for Ubisoft, but it fits their catalog perfectly, is the South Park franchise. And the game I have been really, really looking forward to has been The Fractured Butthole. Yes, it's the most crude thing, but it's fucking South Park. And I was a huge fan of the Stick of Truth. Farts for shouts. Randomness everywhere. It was the perfect South Park game. And then they do the sequel. The Civil War-esque superhero sequel. And it's been hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped and hyped. And it's even been featured in Loot Crate, for fuck's sake. So we know it's coming. We just don't know when. It's been delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and delayed and fuck it. It's been delayed so much, I've lost track of how many times it's been fucking delayed. So I want to see a release date, a real release date where it's actually coming out. I want to see more of the powers. I want to see a trailer that's not basically a copy of the Civil War trailer, because let's be honest, anybody can do that. I mean, even us for the podcast have made memes of memes of memes of memes with the Civil War posters and shit. So I want to see if they're going the route that they've been going with Aisha Taylor, or Tyler, however you say her fucking name, hosting this. I want to see her playing through it. But I don't want to see her playing through it regularly. I want to see her playing through it as Lana from Archer. Because that would be the most humorous thing ever. And it would hype the fucking game. And I'd honestly, even though I didn't even put this on my track list, I'd honestly like to see an Archer video game. And it would fit right there with Ubisoft, even. Maybe get on that, Ubisoft. We know Far Cry 5 is a real thing. We know it's been heavily fucking debated because of the premise of it. They're killing the white Christian American. No, we can't have that. No, we can't have that shit. You. I'm an atheist, so I don't care. I want to see more of this. It's a Christian cult set in the fucking South. It's just beautiful. And I want to see something actually address, someone from Ubisoft address this debate of the bloody petition that's going around the internet. It is so fucking childish, but so funny. If you haven't seen the petition, look it up. It's fucking hilarious. The comments on it is just beautiful. I'd like to see them publicly and acknowledge this shit. And just roast whoever created it, even if it was created for satire. I'd love to see them acknowledge that, and possibly have whoever does one of the villains in it come on and just burn like a fucking fake petition right on stage or something. It'd be beautiful. And it would really, 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 really hype the game even more. I don't even know if I want to mention what I've wrote down now. Okay, so roughly 93% of the players from For Honor have all but quit. But we know Ubisoft doesn't like to give up. That's pretty much obvious. So I picture them announcing some DLC to draw players back in, like they did with The Division. And I picture that DLC being behind a paywall, behind a paywall, behind a paywall, behind a paywall, behind. I honestly wanted For Honor to be a really, really great game. It was really innovative. It was really, really fucking clever. The way the combat worked, how visceral it was, how beautiful the world was. But Ubisoft was Ubisoft and shot their own dick off with it. With the amount of DLC, the amount of microtransactions, the amount of fucking ridiculous shit. For the average player to actually get it, they would have to spend 1,000 hours as each character to unlock everything for that character. Per character, with there being multiple, I think like 15 different classes after the season pass is done. Who the fuck wants to do that? So they allowed players to pay to unlock shit for characters they don't main. And the amount of microtransactions necessary to do that would be roughly $1,000 per character. So it's either 1,000 hours or $1,000, your choice. So yeah, it fell flat. But they're probably going to announce some form of DLC to draw players back in, or attempt to draw players back in. I hope they stick to their guns and just stay off the servers. And we all know Ubisoft likes to milk the Tom Clancy franchises. And The Division 2 might be announced. I honestly don't know because of how it was received. I hope they don't continue this franchise, honestly. As much fun as it was a creative idea, but sometimes Ubisoft needs to let shit go. I'd much rather see a new Splinter Cell. And I'm not even a huge fan of Splinter Cell, the game. I am of the novels, but I know it would be a bigger sale than another division, because there's a devoted fan base to the Splinter Cell games. We know there's going to be another Just Dance. We don't even need to call that a prediction. There'll probably be some Ghost Recon DLC announced, possibly a Season 2. Watch Dogs 3 would be a great announcement. Watch Dogs 2 was one of the best games Ubisoft's had in recent years. I, as an IT professional, love the premise of Hack the World. The world that they created in this mock San Francisco was beautiful. Fucking want to see a sequel, and I would love to see it in possibly a downtown Malibu. That would be a really, really great area for them to put in a sequel, because it's never been done before outside of a mock in Vice City. But it would be really fucking cool. It'd be something different, something Ubisoft's never done. I don't think they've ever done a game in Florida. So it'd be kind of cool to do that. I say this every year, every time I do anything Ubisoft, and I say this every year, every time I do anything E3. Beyond Good and Evil 2. Make it fucking happen. It can't be wrong forever, right? Okay. Now the RPG lovers' paradise. Bethesda. Bethesda, make us happy and announce Elder Scrolls 6. We've heard of the Starfield game that's been rumored. I honestly have no idea what it is outside of a sci-fi-esque game. They've been hiring for a futuristic, cutting-edge, freemium game. I'm assuming that's what this Starfield is. I'm not a huge fan of freemium games, because freemium means shit tons of microtransactions. Bethesda doesn't need any more fucking money. Bethesda's richer than goddamn Donald Trump. So, yeah. I honestly would love to see this be a console release for $60. If it's a actual fucking freemium game, I don't want to see a shit ton of microtransactions. I really don't. We know there's going to be more expansions, more DLC for the Elder Scrolls Online. That doesn't even need to be addressed. The Elder Scrolls Legend, when I picked up my copy of Elder Scrolls Online Morrowind, there was a flyer in there. Hey, remember that card game that we copied from Hearthstone, but kind of made our own, and then Gwent became a thing from CD Projekt Red as a standalone game, because everybody loves Hearthstone, so we're all going to milk that. Yeah. I picture there being some sort of an expansion a la the original expansion for fucking Hearthstone. That might be announced there. Another thing that's been known that's going to be there at some point, we know there's a Switch edition of Skyrim. It was announced when the Switch was released, or revealed. It was shown on an airplane. I mean, what's more badass than being able to slay dragons on an airplane? I picture that being revealed or released, at least release date announced at the press conference. I picture it being the same price as the Skyrim Special Edition, because let's be honest, Bethesda can be greedy. We know that there's Fallout VR. I would love to see announced a Doom VR. Yeah, could you picture that shit? Could you picture being this badass inside the VR helmet with this fucking toy gun going around, come on, you can't say you want to love that, viewers. You can't say you want to love that shit. Also, I don't know if anybody caught last year that their little like terminal shit, that there was a title that kind of fit into Wolfenstein lore. I picture there being a Wolfenstein sequel announced at this year's E3. I would love to see it come out this year even, because I'm a huge fan of the Wolfenstein franchise. And I would love to see it set in occupied America. That's something that would be risk-taking. And basically, at the end of what should have been a fucking expansion, Blazkowicz said, I'm going home. So I picture that being led into this occupied America fucking version of our world where Nazis had conquered us and him taking back America. I'd like to see some more info on Quake, or possibly a console launch. I don't know how many people would actually like that, but I know I would. And Bethesda would be smart to do so, because we have more player base, more money. It's just common sense. A doubtful one, but one I'd like to see, is Fallout 5. And it's been highly rumored that Bethesda's been developing a Game of Thrones game. I picture that being, from their little Bethesda land poster, there's 2 slides that are under development. One looks medieval, one looks futuristic. Picture that medieval one being the Game of Thrones game. Evil Within 2 would be another great game that I would love to see announced. And I'd like to see a Doom sequel. It was one of my favorite games of that year. So, to be able to return to that world, it'd be fucking awesome. I know my controller won't like it, but I will. On to the Nintendo. I don't know how many of you caught the Pokemon Direct, but the background, there were no Sinnoh cases. Hashtag Sinnoh remake confirmed. I know a lot of people would love that. Pokemon Stars! I'm kind of being sarcastic. That's why the high pitch. I'm kind of not being sarcastic, because I would love to see an actual fucking Pokemon title on the Switch. I would. It has the potential to do it. Why not just fucking do it? Take some risks, Game Freak. Take some fucking risks. I'd love to see more Mario Odyssey. I'd love to see Monster Hunter 20, XX, whatever you want to call it. I know a couple of my friends from playing Unity have been talking about that in chat. I'm kind of looking forward to being able to play this title, but I also kind of am a little bit skeptical on how successful it will be on the Switch. It's massive on the 3DS, but I don't know on the Switch. I know the Switch is selling like crazy. I know a lot of people want them to leave the 3DS behind and go to consoles, but I just don't know. I know the Japanese fan base of it's massive. I know there's a huge following of it here in the US, but I'm kind of skeptical on this. Only because of battery life on the Switch. Anywhere from 3 to 24 hours. I mean, I've had it in my backpack for about a week and a half now, and it's only at 90%. So I know in standby it's really great, but graphic-wise, I figure it'd be one of the 3-hour games undocked. So, I don't know. Let me know in the comments. The Shin Megami Tensei game that was announced at the Switch conference, I'd like to see some info on that. I don't picture anybody playing this outside of dock mode. The only reason I brought out the undocked mode for the Monster Hunter game was due to the fact that it has multiplayer. I'm assuming if it would be multiplayer, you would want to link up with friends IRL and play that with them. Again, let me know in the comments what you think. The Fire Emblem Switch game, I would love to see some info on. I'd like to see some more on the Fire Emblem Warriors game. I was a huge fan of the Hyrule Warriors spinoff, so I'd like to see this Fire Emblem version a little bit more than I'd actually like to see the Fire Emblem proper game, because I don't want them to rush the proper Fire Emblem titles. I really don't, but they could churn out a Dynasty Warriors-esque game in a year, because they do. We know there's another No More Heroes in development. It was announced at the Switch conference as well, so I'd like to see a little bit of info on that. I don't want it to be rushed, because it's a franchise that's really one of the only games I've fucking bothered to play on the Wii. My Wii is, I call it my designated doorstop, because there weren't a whole lot of games I was interested on that. So it just became a dust collector, and now that I have my Switch and the Wii U, it's just my doorstop. I'd love to see more Splatoon 2 info. I know it's coming out in July, I believe the 21st or 22nd. But I want to see a proper headset or chat set, because that thing that they showed on Twitter is just an abomination. There's cord here, cord here, cord here, cord here, cord here, cord here, and enough to tie a noose around your neck. I want to see more of the Xenoblade 2. Just what they showed was beautiful. It was so beautiful. I want to see more of it. I'd love to see a release date. I doubt they'll show a release date, but I'd love to see it. Outside of what I've got written down, I'd like to see another Metroid game. I'd like to see another Star Fox game, one that's done right. We don't talk about the one that just came out. We don't. Ever. No. It's not in my mind. I'd like to see a fucking sequel to Hyrule Warriors announced. I would also like to see a Pokemon Stadium game come out for the Switch. I kind of feel like the 8 minutes that they gave for the Pokemon Direct was to keep a lot of stuff saved for E3. Even though they don't do a traditional E3 conference anymore, they do their little treehouse event. I picture that was to save something. Either the Sinnoh remakes or something massive that will excite the fan bases, because who the fuck cares about a Pokken Tournament Deluxe? Who? Who? No one. No one. No one does. So, yeah. Some multi-platform games that I'm looking forward to and I think should be on your radar as well. Vampire from Dot Not Entertainment. The people that made Life is Strange, Remember Me, and I honestly think that's it. At least all that's memorable. I think that this darker tale that they're doing here with Plague Era London and a doctor that has become a vampire, basically, is really, really unique. It gives you a little bit more moral leeway than Life is Strange. A lot of people were kind of disappointed due to the lack of definitive answers at the end, basically. Kind of like every Telltale game. Even though the consequences of choosing one person over another, etc., and those kind of games mean something, it kind of seems a little bit vague and non-existent near the end. I think they've given themselves a little more room to be unique with this one. So I'd like to see some more from that. One that we haven't heard anything from in a long fucking time, but we know it's in development, is Dead Island 2. I think the reason that it has been so quiet is that they're hard at work on the development of this game. I was a fan of number 1, Riptide left a little to be desired, but Riptide also fixed a lot of shit that went wrong with the first one. I kind of expected this game to actually have come out by now and not be stuck in what people assume is development hell. But I really don't think it's in development hell. I really think that they're just trying to churn it out as quietly as possible and then announce, and here, see, we're not dead. We've been working on it. We've actually wanted to make this game as beautiful as possible. And here you go, E3. Here is this beautiful trailer. And, oh, by the way, you can pre-order it now, and it comes out December-ish. I'm just guessing on the date. That being said, if there's nothing announced this year, I'm going to kind of start to worry about it. Another one that I'm kind of disappointed of some news I've heard the last couple days, and it's been released by CD Projekt Red, so you know it's legit, that some documents for Cyberpunk 2077 have been stolen. I'm really, really looking forward to this game, because anything CD Projekt Red touches turns to fucking gold. Look at the Witcher franchise. Nobody even knew about it until the games came out. Now we're getting a Netflix series of it. I'm honestly disappointed that some stuff had been stolen and is now being held for ransom, and they're threatening to release it. I really, really, really want to see something from this at E3 to kind of counterbalance that. Because if they show something off, it'll just show that they don't give a fuck that anybody stole these documents, and it'll prove what they said, that they are older documents and they have no validity whatsoever to the project at its current state. Another one that has kind of been quiet, but we know it's in development because it was announced kind of unknownly. Was actually announced at a conference a little bit ago. Borderlands 3 we know is in development. I kind of picture it being announced at E3 as, here's a quick breakdown of the world that we're in, and here's something to show you that we're working on it. And we weren't just blowing off steam, because Gearbox has kind of become unreliable. Battleborn. I want to see the game be announced. I want to see some footage of it. I'm a huge fan of Borderlands. It's one of the few games that I can actually go back into and actually enjoy myself no matter how many times I fucking played it. So I want to see this come out soon. But I also don't want it to be rushed, because we know what happens when Gearbox rushes shit. Another one to look out for will be Life is Strange 2. We know it's a thing. They announced it on their Tumblr, they've announced it on Twitter, they've announced it on Facebook, they've said once Vampire comes out, Life is Strange 2 will be our next project. And there's also rumors of a prequel series where we have all this that happened before the original game come out. Like a young Chloe and all this beautiful shit. It's kind of shocked me that they were rumored a prequel series, because I really don't want to see a prequel series. I just want a sequel. But that doesn't mean I won't play through it. Life is Strange 2 coming out. It's kind of, I don't know how it would work, because there's a whole lot of nothing at the end, depending on which ending you chose. If you chose the Bay, the only logical one, Arcadia Bay's gone. So, where will the sequel take place? Are we getting new protagonists? Are we getting a new city? Are we getting a Chloe and Max on the run kind of shit for the consequences of their actions? I mean, there's got to be something there. Or if they're going off of the Bay ending, which, shame on you, what's Max's life like, having to choose to let her friend die, and what's her mental state? Because we know that there's all this deepness to the game, where there's mental illness, there's sexuality, there's all this really, really deep shit in it. And I kind of picture that Max being completely fucking broken. So yeah. Another one being a Middle-earth Shadows of War trailer. Middle-earth Shadows of Mordor was kind of a little bit under the radar game. It was one of the most beautifully done tellings of the Lord of the Rings lore I've ever played through. And when they announced the sequel, I was blown away with the scale that they're going for. So I want to see some more info on it. I want to see a definitive release date. I want to see an actual, like, how this game came to be, almost, because they could have chose not to make a sequel. I want to know if it's just they want to continue telling this story, or if it's more of, hey, we like money. Because if it's the hey, we like money, I kind of feel like it's a little bit douchey. But if it's more of they're invested in this world, they want to keep this franchise going, and as long as there's players, I'm all for it being made. I want to see how this new ring comes into play more, because we know we're making a new Ring of Power. So, with that being said, is it going to corrupt? Is it going to save? Or are we going to be able to choose that? So I like having the choice to be the asshole. I don't want the asshole to be forced on me. I like the choice. Other games that could be announced that may or may not be successful, I'd like to see Telltale Games bring out a new franchise. We saw them launch the Guardians of the Galaxy. We've seen them do Batman. We've seen them do Game of Thrones. We've seen them do 3, well, depending on how you look at it. Maybe you look at the Michonne series as a separate one, but we've seen 3 to 4 different Walking Dead seasons, depending on how you look at it. We've also seen, in the past, the 7 Days to Die, or whatever the fuck it's called. But I'd like to see a new Sam & Max game. I would love to see that universe return. I grew up with the characters. I'd love to see that. And I'd also like to see them touch on the Avengers. Since they've done so well with the Guardians of the Galaxy, I'd like to see an Avengers game. We know Marvel Studios is hunting down the best of the best to tell their Marvel Cinematic Universe stories. So I want to see an Avengers game. Telltale-wise. We know that Square Enix has an Avengers game, or a Marvel game, because they've announced the partnership, and that's coming in 2017, 2018. I think it's actually 2018 or 2019. I want to see some info on it, though. I don't want this to turn into Kingdom Hearts. And I definitely don't want this to turn into it's Final Fantasy Versus 13, and then take fucking, what, 10 years? And then, no, it's Final Fantasy 15. It's 15. Forget what we said all those years ago. It's 15 now. And I'd honestly like to see a little bit more of the Final Fantasy VII Remake. It was one of the first RPGs I actually sat down and completed myself. So it has a space in my heart. So I kind of want to see more of that. I know it's cheesy, it's generic, it's one of the most openly said, it's my favorite RPG of all time. It's not my favorite RPG of all time. It's just got a special place in my heart. I would also like to see a fucking new Legend of Dragoon. I know the chances of that is like astronomical. But it was one of my favorite PS1 games of all time. And at one point there was a sequel rumored to have been in development, and then that got scrapped. I would like to see that universe return. It was one of the most graphically pleasing games of the PS1 era. Think of how beautiful that would be on today's tech. It would be mind-blowing. If they got the original team behind it for today's shit, I would spend $100 just to see that shit happen. That being for a standard edition. Give me a fucking collector's edition, I'd spend $300 for that shit. I would also like to bring up a couple of the podcasters' actual recommendations and predictions. One of them coming from Eli. He has said he would like to see some more of H1Z1. That game's been in development for a shit ton of time. I would like to see that as well. Chris Sassily said, Square with another title that never releases. Yeah, I can picture that one happening too. Thurman had none. I'd actually like to bring up the fact that Fortnite's going into beta. That game was announced, I think, like 5 years ago. I'd honestly forgot all about that fucking game. But since they're announcing a beta, I picture that actually showing up at E3 as well. And with that, I'm going to be signing off. Thanks for watching. I know I rambled a little bit. Roughly about an hour and a half long video for predictions. Like, comment, subscribe, give your E3 predictions, do all that stuff. I'd also like to announce that we are going to be having some more videos in the coming days. Eli with some Hunter x Hunter stuff. We're going to have some comic reviews. Next episode of the podcast will be this Sunday. We'll be talking more about E3 on there as well, probably. And in the meantime, I would also like to announce that my actual video group will be coming in the next roughly month. I'm working on scripts and stuff. It's going to be a little more in-depth. I'm not going to say any more than that, but look for that in the coming month, like month and a half. I also would like to announce that Thurman will be doing some stuff, Chris will be doing some stuff, Eli, Ryan, and our thumbnail unveiling will be in roughly 3 weeks for the podcast. So be on the lookout for that stuff. And with that, I am signing off now. Peace.